Beneath the sweeping oaks and winding country roads of Willow Creek Estates sat a quiet property owned by Marcus Daniels, a former civil engineer who had designed bridges all across the state before retiring early. His land bordered the neighborhood's private lake, separated by a narrow creek. Years ago, Marcus had built a small wooden bridge over it, not for anyone else, but for his own use, to cross from his home to the garden and workshop on the other side. It wasn't part of the HOA's jurisdiction. Or so he thought. For years, everything had been peaceful. Marcus kept to himself, maintaining his land better than anyone else around. But things started changing when the HOA got a new president, Karen Whitfield. She was known for her hands-on approach to running the community, which really meant micromanaging every single person. From mailbox colors to grass height, Karen had to have her way. It started innocently enough. One afternoon, Marcus noticed tire marks on his bridge. Heavy ones. When he followed them, they led to a new construction project on the HOA's property, a new clubhouse expansion. Cement trucks and equipment had been using his little bridge as a shortcut instead of driving the long way around through the official road. Marcus wasn't happy. That bridge wasn't built for heavy loads. It was a simple structure, strong enough for his ATV and small tractor, but not for trucks weighing tons. He confronted the workers first, asking them to use the official access route. They shrugged, saying they were told by the lady in charge that it was fine. So Marcus went straight to the source. When he arrived at the HOA office, Karen was sitting at her desk, surrounded by stacks of folders, typing furiously on her laptop. "Mrs. Whitfield," Marcus began, keeping his tone calm. "Your construction crews have been crossing my private bridge. They're going to destroy it." Karen didn't even look up at first. "Oh, that little thing by the creek. Technically, that's community access," she said, brushing off his concern. "We've been using it for weeks. No one complained until now." Marcus frowned. "It's my bridge, built on my land. I have the permits and the survey documents to prove it." Karen smirked. "Well, we'll see about that. Maybe the board can review the property lines. In the meantime, you'll need to allow us to continue construction access. It's for the good of the community." That phrase, "for the good of the community," was her favorite weapon. Marcus knew exactly what that meant. She'd twist the rules until they worked in her favor. But she had picked the wrong man to bully. That night, Marcus pulled out his old blueprints, soil tests, and property records. The next morning, he went to the county office and got a certified map showing the boundary lines. The bridge was 100% on his land, no HOA authority could touch it. Still, even after he posted warning signs and set up a chain barrier, the trucks came again. One morning he heard the telltale rumble of diesel engines and the creaking of the wood as another cement truck crossed. The boards groaned under the weight. Enough was enough. Marcus decided to set a trap. Not one that would harm anyone, but one that would expose the HOA's arrogance once and for all. He installed cameras along the creek, hidden in the trees. Then he reinforced part of the bridge with steel plates, but left one section of the planks loose, rigged to collapse just enough under heavy weight. He placed warning signs all around, photographed them for proof, and waited. A week later, Karen herself showed up at the construction site. Dressed in her trademark blazer and oversized sunglasses, she stood by as another cement truck rolled toward the bridge. "Don't worry," she said loudly. "That old man can't stop progress." The driver hesitated when he saw the signs, but Karen waved him on. "Just go. It's fine." The truck rolled forward, and then it happened. The moment the back tires reached the weak spot, the boards split apart with a cracking sound. The rear wheels sank, and the truck tilted awkwardly, half stuck in the mud below. Cement started spilling from the tilted drum, seeping into the creek. Karen screamed. The driver jumped out, panicking. Marcus, who had been recording from across the creek, stepped forward. "You were warned, Mrs. Whitfield," he said calmly. "Now you've damaged my property and polluted the creek." Within hours, the county sheriff was there. Marcus showed them the footage, the property documents, and the warning signs. The officer turned to Karen. "Ma'am, this bridge is clearly on private land. You had no authorization to use it." The HOA was fined for environmental damage and trespassing. Karen tried to claim it was an accident, but the footage told a different story, her ordering the truck to cross despite multiple warnings. But Marcus wasn't finished yet. Using his background in engineering, he filed an official report with the Department of Environmental Quality. They traced the spilled cement downstream and added additional fines for contaminating the creek. The HOA's project had to be halted indefinitely. News spread through Willow Creek Estates like wildfire. For years, Karen had bullied residents, fining people for small violations, dictating fence heights, and threatening homeowners. But now she was the one under investigation, and the community finally saw her for who she really was. When the board voted to remove her as president, Marcus didn't even attend the meeting. He was sitting on his porch, sipping coffee, watching as workers carefully dismantled what remained of his bridge. He wasn't angry anymore. He was building a new one, a stronger, steel-reinforced bridge with automatic gates and cameras. And this time, there would be no shortcuts. As word got around, neighbors began stopping by to apologize, even offering to help rebuild. Many had been afraid to stand up to Karen before. Marcus just smiled. Sometimes, he said, you don't fight people like her with anger. You let them walk right into their own trap. And just like that, peace returned to Willow Creek Estates, except for one spot, right by the creek, where a cracked cement truck tire still lay half buried in the mud. A quiet reminder that even the most powerful Karen, can't bulldoze over the wrong man's sound of crickets mixed with the faint ripple of water drifting beneath the little wooden bridge behind Marcus Daniels' home. The bridge was his pride and joy, a small but sturdy structure that connected his main property to the wooded patch across the creek, where he kept his workshop and vegetable garden. It wasn't fancy, but it was crafted with precision, a reflection of the man who built it. Marcus had spent 30 years as a civil engineer before retiring early, and when he designed that bridge, he built it the way he built everything, with care, purpose, and attention to detail. For years, it had been his quiet retreat. The neighborhood around him, Willow Creek Estates, was known for its picture-perfect lawns and winding cul-de-sacs. It was a peaceful community, or at least it used to be. The Homeowners Association, or HOA, was supposed to keep things that way, maintaining order and beauty. But lately, the people in charge had become less about community and more about control. And at the center of it all was Karen Whitfield, the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood. Karen had taken over as HOA president about a year earlier, and in that short time, she'd turned the board into her personal empire. Neighbors whispered about her behind closed doors, but few dared to challenge her directly. She was relentless with citations and fines, mailboxes that were the wrong shade of beige, grass cut, too high, flags, too close to the curb. She didn't care if you were new, old, retired, or disabled, her word was law. Marcus, for the most part, stayed out of it. He wasn't one to get involved in petty neighborhood politics. He kept his property neat, paid his dues on time, and minded his own business. But that peace shattered the day he noticed something strange near his bridge. It was a Sunday morning when he first saw the tire marks, deep grooves pressed into the dirt near the water's edge. They weren't from his ATV or tractor. These were larger, wider, heavier. Marcus crouched down, running his hand through the fresh tracks, and followed them across the bridge. The wood had faint cracks where there hadn't been any before. And when he looked up, his eyes caught something that made his stomach tighten. Across the creek, on the HOA-owned side of the property, a massive concrete foundation was being laid. Construction vehicles, cement trucks, and workers were scattered about. He watched for a few minutes, realizing they were building something big, something expensive. Later that afternoon, Marcus spoke to one of the workers who had parked near the creek. "You fellas been using that bridge to haul your materials?" he asked politely. The man looked up, wiping sweat from his brow. "Yeah, the lady in charge said we could. Saves us about a mile driving around through the main entrance." Marcus frowned. That lady in charge, she wouldn't happen to be named Karen, would she? The worker nodded. "Yeah, that's her. The HOA president, right?" Marcus felt his patience thinning. "That bridge isn't rated for that kind of weight," he said. "You're going to damage it, or worse." The worker shrugged. "We just follow orders, sir. You'll have to talk to her." And so he did. The next morning, Marcus walked into the HOA office, a small, neat building near the front of the neighborhood. Karen was behind her desk, perfectly poised, her blonde hair in a tight bun, tapping away on her laptop. She didn't even look up when he entered. "Mrs. Whitfield," Marcus began, standing at the door. "We need to talk about the trucks crossing my bridge." She sighed, looking up briefly with an expression of mild annoyance. "Oh, that, I've already looked into it. That bridge is technically community access." Marcus frowned. "Community access? That bridge is on my land. It's not part of the HOA's jurisdiction." Karen smiled thinly, the kind of smile that never reached her eyes. "According to my understanding, the creek marks the edge of the HOA's shared maintenance zone. That means any crossing built over it falls under community property. Marcus leaned forward slightly. That's not true, and you know it. I designed that bridge myself. I have the permits, the materials receipts, and the property survey to prove it. It's on my side of the line. Karen waved a hand dismissively. Well, perhaps the board can review it at the next meeting. But for now, we need that access. The clubhouse expansion is behind schedule, and I can't have trucks detouring all over the place. It's for the good of the community. Marcus's jaw tightened. That phrase again, for the good of the community. Karen used it every time she wanted something her way. He left the office that morning with a deep sense of frustration boiling inside him. That night, he pulled out his old files, blueprints, permits, maps, and spread them across his kitchen table. He traced the boundary lines carefully. There was no mistake. The creek and everything on his side of it was legally his property. The bridge was fully within his boundary. He even had the original county permit stamped and signed. The next day, Marcus went to the county office to get certified copies of the property map. He wasn't going to let Karen bully him with words. But even after he posted private property, no access signs and chained off the bridge, the trucks kept coming. One morning, Marcus woke to the rumble of diesel engines and the vibration of his window panes. He rushed outside and saw yet another cement truck crawling across his bridge. The boards moaned under the pressure, and a small crack formed near one of the beams. Marcus's temper flared. He flagged down the driver, but before he could speak, the man shouted, "Talk to the wall lady." She said it's fine, and drove off. That night, Marcus stood by the creek, flashlight in hand, staring at his bridge. He felt both anger and disbelief. He had spent years keeping to himself, helping neighbors when they needed it, paying his dues without complaint, and this was how they treated him. But Marcus wasn't a man who reacted rashly. He was methodical, calm, calculating, and as he stood there, watching the moonlight shimmer across the rippling water, an idea began to form in his mind. He would fix the situation, but not with shouting, and not with threats. He would use what he knew best: structure, design, and patience. By morning, he had a plan. He began reinforcing part of the bridge, replacing some of the planks, and discreetly installing small hidden cameras near the trees along the creek. Every inch of the crossing would now be under surveillance. He wasn't just going to stop them, he was going to expose them. The next week, Marcus stayed mostly indoors, watching the footage from his phone. The trucks kept coming, one after another. And every time they crossed, the damage grew worse. One of the support beams even began to splinter. He documented everything, every crossing, every truck, every face. He gathered timestamps, photos, and video clips. By the time he was done, he had enough evidence to make any lawyer's case airtight. But deep down, Marcus knew the confrontation was coming. Karen wouldn't stop until she was forced to. And when she finally showed up in person to oversee the next delivery, she would find out exactly who she was dealing with.